Person of Interest is my second J. Warner Wallace book, and I enjoyed it even more than the first book by him, which I read, which was Forensic Faith. I think I enjoyed this book more because it hit on a question that I have been asked a couple of times, and both times it shook me a little bit because I wasn't sure how to respond. And the question was, how do you even know Jesus exists? I remember jumbling with an answer to that question through a very non-satisfactory answer, at least to me, and also, I believe, to the person who I was speaking to. I wanted to have a better answer prepared, but I wasn't sure how to answer that question in the best way. Well, in Person of Interest by J. Warner Wallace, he makes a compelling case not only for the existence of the historical reality of Jesus of Nazareth, who was described in the pages of the Bible, but that Jesus was also so influential and world-changing that Jesus is the most important person who has ever lived. And therefore, we should take Jesus at his word as regards to his claims that he made for himself. And the cool thing is, you don't even need the Bible to see the importance of Jesus, the ultimate person of interest. Following the story of one of Wallace's most compelling murder convictions in his career, a case where there was no body, no real crime scene, and no witnesses, Wallace makes a compelling case for Jesus as the Son of God and Savior of the world without using our typical go-to witness, and that is the New Testament itself. Wallace shows how the world was ideally set up for Jesus to arrive at the specific time in history when he did. When the Apostle Paul wrote in Galatians 4 and 5, "But when the fullness of the time came, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, so that he might redeem those who were under the law, that we might receive the adoptions as sons." Jesus arrived at the fullness of time, and I will never look at those verses in quite the same way after Wallace made the thorough case that Jesus arrived at the perfect moment when the fullness of time was set in motion for the Son of God to be sent to this world as our Savior. And then building upon that, the fallout, as Wallace calls it, the impact of Jesus' presence on history is nothing short of miraculous. Wallace shows again and again that if you deleted and destroyed every copy of the Bible from existence, you could still find Jesus' story and the gospel presentation by only looking at the masterpieces of famous artists, the lyrics of songs written by men and women who aren't even part of the church. The walls of schools and hospitals speak to Christ. From medicine to education to art to science to education to even other religions, Jesus is the greatest person of interest. He is the driving force behind the world as we know it. Tom Holland makes a similar argument in his book, Dominion, that if you think about it, we will never know what a post-Christian world is really like. And the reason is that Jesus' fingerprints are so embedded on history that you could never erase his overwhelming presence in this world. And at times, for me, this is exactly what this book was. Overwhelming, because the evidence for Jesus is just stunning beyond belief, showing that Jesus is the most important person ever. So for me, this is a wonderful book. Christians will find it to be a powerful defense of their faith, and I believe non-Christians will find the story of Jesus' impact on this world to be both fascinating and undeniable. But I do want to note one thing about the format of this book. I have it in paperback, and if you look at it, it looks pretty big. It looks kind of intimidating. Well, don't feel intimidated buy it. And also, don't go out and purchase the Kindle or digital version. This is one book that, while I love reading on my Kindle, this is one book that you're going to want to have in print. Wallace makes consistent use of visuals throughout the book. I'll just try to open up to a few random pages to show you there. And having read this book and also having read Wallace's Forensic Faith, I can say that the visuals of this book translate much better in print form than they do to a digital format. And the size of this book really adds to the enjoyment of the way that these visuals are presented throughout. So if you want to get the most out of Person of Interest, you're really going to want to read a physical copy so that you can see these illustrations the way they are meant to flow throughout the reading of the book in the size in which they are presented in the paper copy. So I want to say that I highly recommend The Person of Interest. This is going to be probably the first book where I say I really recommend a physical hard copy of this book, and it's just a great read. And if you've enjoyed this review and you are new to the Rev Reads YouTube channel, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel so that you can stay engaged in the wonderful and engaging world of Christian literature. And if you've been around here for a while and you want to support what we're doing at Rev Reads, I'd love for you to become a patron. You can find out more details about that at patreon.com/RevReads.